In the heart of the African wilderness, where the whispers of the wind carried tales of ancient spirits, and the earth bore the footprints of generations, lay the village of Nkosi. Surrounded by towering baobab trees and golden savannas that stretched as far as the eye could see, Nkosi was a place where time flowed to the rhythm of the land. As the sun dipped below the horizon, turning the sky into a canvas of burnt oranges and deep purples, the villagers of Nkosi gathered around the central fire pit. Elders adorned in colorful robes settled onto weathered wooden stools, their faces etched with the wisdom of years lived in communion with nature. Children darted between the legs of adults, their laughter like the music of flowing rivers. Among the crowd stood a young boy named Kwame, with eyes that mirrored the curiosity of the lion cubs that roamed the nearby plains. Kwame's father, Jelani, was a respected elder known for his deep connection to the spirits of the land. Despite his father's stern warnings about the ancient traditions of their people, Kwame's restless spirit often led him to the edge of mischief. One moonlit night, when the village was bathed in the silvery glow of the full moon, Kwame's curiosity got the better of him. While the elders recounted tales of heroism and whispered warnings of the spirits that roamed the night, Kwame found himself drawn to the outskirts of Nkosi. The moon hung low, casting long shadows that danced across the earth. Ignoring the cautionary voices that echoed in his mind, Kwame ventured deeper into the darkness, guided by the gentle pull of the moonlit path. The air was alive with the sounds of the wilderness, chirping crickets, distant calls of nocturnal creatures, and the rustle of leaves in the night breeze. As he walked, Kwame began to hear faint whispers carried on the wind. They were words in a language that seemed foreign, yet strangely familiar. His curiosity piqued. Kwame followed the whispers to a clearing illuminated by a flickering fire. Shadows danced around the fire, and figures swayed in rhythmic motion. Peering from behind a gnarled tree, Kwame's eyes widened in awe and trepidation. The figures were dressed in traditional garb, adorned with beads and feathers, their faces painted with intricate patterns. The shaman's voice rose and fell like a river flowing through the night, invoking ancient spirits with words that resonated in the deepest recesses of Kwame's soul. Mesmerized by the ceremony unfolding before him, Kwame felt a surge of excitement mixed with fear. Then, as if drawn by an unseen force, Kwame heard a voice inside his mind, a voice that urged him to repeat the forbidden words spoken by the shaman. Despite the warning bells ringing in his head, Kwame succumbed to the irresistible temptation. With trembling lips, he whispered the forbidden words into the night. In that instant, the atmosphere shifted. The fire's flames seemed to shrink, casting eerie shadows that danced like specters around Kwame. The figures around the fire fell silent, their eyes fixed on the intruder in their midst. The shaman's eyes snapped open, revealing pupils that glowed like embers in the darkness. In a voice that resonated with the authority of ages, he demanded, "Who dares speak the forbidden words under the moon's gaze?" Frozen with fear, Kwame tried to retreat, but strong hands gripped his shoulders, pulling him into the circle of light. The shaman's gaze bore into him, piercing through the layers of his being. "You have disrupted the balance, young one," the shaman intoned, his voice a solemn echo in the night. "You have invoked powers beyond your understanding." Kwame stammered an apology, but the shaman's expression remained grave. Turning to the assembled figures, he declared, "This boy has defied the ancient laws. We must heed the spirit's warning." The villagers murmured in agreement, their faces somber beneath the moon's gaze. Kwame's heart sank as he realized the gravity of his actions. In the days that followed, Kwame faced the consequences of his recklessness. The council of elders deliberated late into the night, debating the appropriate punishment for the boy who had dared to defy tradition. Finally, it was decided. Kwame was to be banished from the village until he had learned the lessons of humility and respect for the spirits. With a heavy heart, Jelani, Kwame's father, delivered the news to his son. "You must go, my son," Jelani said, his voice tinged with sorrow. "You have brought disharmony upon our village. Only by seeking redemption in solitude can you hope to restore balance." Heartbroken and ashamed, Kwame packed a small bag with provisions, a few days' worth of food, a water gourd, and a blanket. As he walked away from the village that had been his home, he felt the weight of his mistake like a stone in his chest. Alone in the wilderness, Kwame wandered aimlessly, seeking solace in the vast expanse of the land. He slept beneath the starlit sky, listening to the nocturnal symphony of nature, the distant roar of a lion, the haunting call of an owl, and the rustle of grass as antelopes grazed nearby. Days turned into weeks, and Kwame's initial despair gradually gave way to introspection. He reflected on the stories his father had told him, the tales of bravery and wisdom passed down through generations. He realized the importance of honoring the spirits that dwelled in every rock, tree, and stream. One evening, as the moon rose in a familiar arc across the sky, Kwame found himself standing on a hill overlooking the village of Nkosi. Lights flickered in the distance, and the sound of drums carried on the wind. With a newfound sense of purpose, Kwame made his way back to the village. The journey had transformed him, instilling in him a deep respect for the traditions of his people. He knew he had to seek forgiveness and earn his place once more among the villagers. As Kwame approached the outskirts of Nkosi, he was met with wary glances from those who remembered his transgression. But Jelani stepped forward, his eyes filled with a mixture of relief and pride. "My son," Jelani said, his voice carrying across the gathering, "you have returned." Kwame bowed his head, his gaze fixed on the ground. "Father, I have learned the error of my ways. I seek forgiveness and the chance to make amends." The elders exchanged solemn looks before the shaman stepped forward, his gaze unwavering. "You have walked the path of redemption, young Kwame. The spirits have heard your remorse." With those words, Kwame was welcomed back into the embrace of the village. The elders bestowed upon him a new name, a name that reflected his journey from wayward youth to a seeker of wisdom. From that day forth, Kwame dedicated himself to the traditions of his people, serving as a guardian of the ancient wisdom that had sustained them for generations. And as the moon rose each night, casting its gentle glow over the village of Nkosi, Kwame stood as a reminder of the power of humility and the importance of respecting the spirits that watched over them all.